Hey folks, welcome to a new MasterThatSolo lesson. In this lesson I'm going to show you how to play the main solo to Back in Black by AC/DC from the same album, Back in Black, which is an absolute classic album. This is a solo that was voted for by the Master Guitar patrons, so if that's something you're interested in, please go and check out the Master Guitar Patreon page. It's one of the things you can do. You can suggest kind of lessons and things. So let's get stuck into it. Tuning wise, I'm in standard tuning. And the first phrase sounds like this. So most of the solo, like a lot of kind of rock, classic rock stuff, are playing around with a lot of E minor, E pentatonic minor stuff. But the opening phrase kind of descends down the A string here, and what we're actually playing is like the root note, the flat 7, and then we've got this major 6 in there. So it's kind of like this blurring between kind of a major minor, pentatonic major minor kind of thing going on, which is really cool in this kind of rock context. But the solo is played with a lot of kind of bite. This is another one of these things. I mentioned this before in the Bark at the Moon solo. You have to really mean these notes. So when Angus Young is playing, I mean, if you've ever seen him live or seen live footage, he's not a tame player just sitting at the back tickling the strings. You know, he's absolutely up the front belting the guitar. So this is the sort of vibe we want to go for. And this opening run encapsulates that, I think, because what you're doing here is you're playing each of these notes twice. And it's hard to hear because of Malcolm Young's kind of rhythm part underneath. Everything's kind of happening in the beat, so the lead notes get buried a little bit. But when you play these notes, you're going to hit each note twice. The first one is like a staccato note, maybe even a little hint of palm mute. And what you're doing is hitting it twice. The first time is cut short. These are all downstrokes, so you get that extra kind of oomph to it. Then when I play it the second time, I hit it and then let the vibrato kind of take over. So you let the note kind of ring out just ever so slightly, then put the vibrato in, and you give it, as usual, a good bit of vibrato. Okay. Then you go down to the 5th fret, and I use my 3rd finger for all of this. Okay, then 4th fret. Then you have this little fill. And what you're doing here is you're going to be playing back up to this kind of E. It's almost like kind of a bluesy thing because you've got a little flat 5 interval in here. But the rhythm of this, and this is another factor of Angus Young's playing throughout this whole solo, he comes in just slightly after the beat. So if you're thinking in your 4/16ths of your beat, he comes in that 2nd 16th. Same with this phrase here, gives it that kind of real, really cool phrasing. So when you're playing this, think of counting that beat 3, then playing. What I tend to do, and I've notated in the tab, is I put a little kind of noise note here on the beat. So I kind of do that, and I'm also just applying a little bit of palm mute, so the notes kind of pop out. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing 7 in the A string, then 5 in the D string, then 7 in the D string. So it's your root minor, 3rd, 4th. That's your pentatonic minor. Yeah. So little noise to help with the timing. Then we have this little phrase, and this crops up time and time again in the solo. Little flourish. What I'm going to be doing here is 7th fret that D string with the 3rd finger. I'm going to hammer to the 4th finger, the 8th fret, pull it off, and then pull off from the 7 to the 5 with the 3rd to 1st finger. So it's like, it's a little flourish. Yeah. Then we end it off by playing 7 in the D string, and then 7 in the A string. Okay. So that kind of goes. Yeah. So next phrase sounds like this. So we start off the same. The thing to watch out for here is when you transition from you've got that note again. Now, I've notated it as hitting the note again. Yeah, you might find that a little bit awkward. You might even want to and kind of put a rest in there or let it ring out a little bit. It's hard to hear what's going on in the recording clearly there. And live he does different things, you know, he plays different rhythms and that stuff when he's doing it live. But watch out for that little transition. But basically we're doing the same thing. We're coming down. Remember that vibrato? Yeah. But now, after we get to the 4th fret, we have this little phrase that sounds like this. Okay, so now I'm getting to this 7th fret on the D string here. It's like the flat 7, so I'm going to bend up to the root note here at the 9th fret. But I've got this cool staccato kind of feel to it. So you're going to play it 4 times, like that. All downstrokes, make sure the notes pop out. And it's almost got this kind of drunken feel to it. And that's what gives it this kind of stuttered thing. Then once you do, after the 4th time you hit it, the 5th time you hit the 7th fret and bend up. Again, make sure you got the vibrato there, and make sure you hit that E there, that kind of root note at the 9th fret. Okay, after that, what I'm going to do is play 5/8 on the B string. Okay, and then I'm going to do a quick bend at the 7th fret, the G string again. Okay, like that. And this is quite a weird little phrase. Live, you won't see him do this anymore. And on the recording, you know, these notes can be played in different ways, but I think that's the kind of most comfortable way of doing it. Okay, now once we've done that little bend, there's a kind of noise, and it does sound like it's more kind of like A string, but more it's a rhythmical accent to get you to this note here, 9th fret of the G string. So when you're playing this bit, so you've got the, yeah, you can just kind of hit the A string, even just kind of a little hit the strings just to get that kind of beat in between. Now fingering wise, I use my 3rd finger there, but probably you want to end in your 2nd finger, because that sets us up for the next phrase, which sounds like this. So this phrase has another one of these little that I had in it, that we had in the kind of intro bars. So what I'm going to do here, you can think of this as being like your E pentatonic minor at the 7th fret here. You know, like an A form, if you want to think of it like an caged approach. So as I said, landing on your middle finger here helps with this. What I'm going to do is, so what I'm playing is 9 in the G and 8 on the B string with the 1st finger. Then I've got my little flourish again, so I'm hammering 10 to 11 with the 1st to 4th finger. Pull off the 3rd, pull off the 1st. And there's just a little bit of extra kind of aggression in there just to bend that note. So you've got this kind of bluesy thing going on. And then the notes here, I've notated like a 9, and then there's this kind of muted note, then 9 again. But what's actually going on is he's probably doing 9, 7, 9. There's a little kind of ending closure to that phrase. But the 7, it sounds as if it's just kind of muted a little bit. Maybe it's pan muted. Again, it adds this percussive nature to the solo that you want to be aiming for. Yeah. So next phrase sounds like this. So we're still playing around with this kind of A form of our E pentatonic minor. I have a little section that goes like this. So what I'm playing is 8 on the B string here, 9 in the G again, and then back to 8. And you might want to just add a little bend to the 1st finger, 8th fret there when you start this. Yeah. Then we have this. So I've got a classic little kind of double stop bend here. And what I'm doing is I'm using my 3rd finger to bend 10th fret, B string, aiming for that B there. As I do that, my 4th finger is then going to play 10th fret of the D string. So you get that kind of double stop when you let them ring together. So you bend, play 10th fret the high string, let it ring, and then do the bend again. Then hit 10th fret the D string, E string again, and you have this. So we release it, pull off to the 8th fret, and then play 10th fret again. So when you're doing that, you're kind of doing like a pre-bend release. Okay. Next phrase sounds like this. Phrasing wise again, this is another one of these points where he comes in a 16th note after the beat. So when you're counting this, basically count beat 1 and then start playing. That's kind of the best way to think about it. So you're coming in like the E and A. And what we're doing here, we've just done this, of course. So my third finger's here, getting that vibrato. Then I'm going to move to this. So from this shape, I'm playing a little double stop. So I shift my fingering, so I'm playing 7th fret of the D string with the first finger. And my second finger is playing 8th fret of the B string. And then I'm going to have this little hammer. So it's basically a hammer on 7 to 9, but it's just kind of turned into a little double stop with the B string coming in. So I have this. So the timing of that is 1, and then you start playing 1. Yeah. So you do the hammer on, play 9th fret again. Then from here, this is where I switch. I play first finger 8th fret, then 9th fret the G string with the second finger. And the reason I do that is it sets me up now for the next little bit, which goes another one of these double stop bends. So slowly that little transition kind of sounds like this. Yeah. And then I have this little bit where I go play 10-8 on the B string, 31st finger, and then I've got the same little kind of double stop bend. I bend up a whole step, 3rd finger, 10th fret. Pinky plays 10th fret of that E string, and then I'm doing a little bend, 10th fret of the B string. And then you kind of slide off. Next phrase sounds like this. Okay, so now we've mostly played a lot of the stuff down here, kind of 7th fret and C pentatonic minor. What I'm now going to move up is to pentatonic minor up at the 12th fret area, so it's kind of like your E form. Or your kind of position 1, you know, depending on how you want to think about it. But we're now in this kind of area of the fingerboard. And again, this phrase is a little bit longer because of the way I'm going to kind of talk about it, but I might split it into 2 little halves. But the timing of it, we come in again on the 16th after the beat. So again, you can count 1 and then start playing. And this is a great thing to think of, and phrasing wise, you really don't want to, particularly if you're doing rock and blues and stuff, play bang on beat 1 all the time. You know, you want to kind of add a little kind of groove to it, or a bit of phrasing. So coming after the beat is a really good thing to do. So this first little phrase sounds like this. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing 12th fret the B string, 12th fret the high E string twice, and I use my first finger to do both notes there, so I'm kind of barring. Then what I'm going to do is bend whole step, 3rd finger, 15th fret the B string. Yeah, so it's a kind of 2 bends quite quick, but you're kind of sustaining that second bend. Vibrato as always, of course. Next little bit sounds like this. Now, what you're doing here is you've already bent the 15th fret B string up. Hit it again, but the way it sounds is almost if it releases the bend a little bit and goes back up, or it's a bit wide vibrato, but it happens so quickly it's hard to kind of tell. So what I would think about doing is just hit the note again and give it a wider bit of vibrato. Like that. And when you hit that note, you've got a little 16 note triplet that goes like this. So you're playing 12 in the high E string, 15, 12 in the B string. Yeah. Another little triplet after that. It's 14 on the G string. I use my 3rd finger here. And then 12 in the B, 12 in the G. And I use the first finger to bar that. Now this is a little Angus Young kind of thing, because he does it again later in the solo. Now, but the sounds of it, he's picking all this. So if you're using your alternate picking for that, you're going to be doing like a downstroke on the high E string, then an up, down in the B string, then an up in the G, then a down, then an up on the G string there. Now because of my quirky picking, I always find that quite awkward. So at that tempo, you know, my picking's like, my hand's kind of moving all over the place for that. So if you want, you could use a pull off, you know, so you're doing 12 and then pull off 15 to 12 and then play that little group of 3 there. Or you could use some combination of economy picking, whatever kind of feels comfortable. But try it with alternate picking to see, because that's what gives you that extra bite to the notes. So once we've done that, and then I'm going to do a bend, 14th fret of the G string. Then I'm going to play 15th fret of the B string with the pinky. So I've got this, another one of these kind of double stops. Okay, so you're doing a bend. Then I'm going to do 15th fret of the B string. Then on bend again at the 14th fret of the G. And this all rings together. Now, because I've got a Floyd, that's going to go flat a little bit, but you know, I'll bear kind of with it. So then a bend. So you're bending 14, 15 in the B, 14, 15 in the high E. And once you hit 15 in the high E, you hit 14, which is pre-bent, pick it, release, pull off to 12th fret that G string, and then you're going to play 14th fret the D string, and then hammer 12 to 14 in the G string first with the finger. Yeah, so that's easier to kind of play than can explain through it. So it sounds like this. Yeah. Next phrase sounds like this. So we're still up at the 12th fret area, E pentatonic minor. We start off with a. So what this is a little phrase. It's that, but there's a little double stop that comes in because I think Angus Young will be barring with his third finger. So you're going to you're already kind of your 14th fret of that G string, vibrato on that note again, of course. Then what you're going to do is slide up to the 14th fret of the D string here. So slide up and then hit it. Yeah. Then what I'm going to do is play 12 in the G string, then 14 in the D again, and then I'm going to do 14 in the G. But what ends up happening is he kind of double stops and catches the B string at the 14th fret as well. Yeah, because he's kind of barring with that third finger there. So he's aiming for 14 in the G, but you hear that kind of 14th fret of the B come out as well. And then you go back to the root note, you know, 14th fret of the D string there. Then I'm going to hammer 12 to 14 in that G string and bend up a whole step again. So I've got another little double stop bend. Then my pinky plays 15th fret of the B string. Then I pick the G string, it's already pre-bent, again, pick it, release, and then what I'm going to do is play 14 in the G and then 14 in the D. But because Angus Young is barring that, you kind of hear the kind of note and the 14th fret of the D come out as well. But I think if you think of the intention, it's that kind of phrase you're aiming for, okay? So, next phrase sounds like this. So another little flourish lick here. So what I'm going to do, again I'm up at the 12th fret, E pentatonic minor area. I'm going to take that 15th fret of the B string, hit it, and then bend up a whole step and give a bit of vibrato at the end of it. And then we have this little flourish. So this is what we did earlier. We're doing these little kind of little groups of 3. So we've got a 12 in the high E string, 15, 12 on the B string, just like we did before. Then we have 14 in the G, and then 12 in that B, 12 in the G, and then I play 14 fret the D string, this time to kind of resolve it, ending in the root note. Okay, so as I mentioned before, it sounds like Angus Young picks all this. If you want, you can use a pull off or whatever, but as long as you get that kind of feel. Okay, so next section sounds like this. So this bit is a classic. I remember seeing transcriptions of this before, and these little double stops are kind of played down in this area. But if you look at Angus Young playing this, he actually uses some hybrid picking, which might be surprising to some. What he's actually playing here, if I look at the notes and I'll talk about what's kind of being played, is he's going to play these little kind of pairs. And the first pair is basically 9, 7, 9 on the G string, or 7, 9 really. Next little pair is the 6th and 7th fret on the G string, and then the last pair is 4th and 6th fret on the G string. Okay, So that's kind of your main notes. But how he gets into this, just done that. What you hear is some open strings. Live, I've seen him kind of do it, kind of hit the G string. But basically what you're going to do here is use a little bit of hybrid picking. Pick the kind of B string, yeah, and then I'm going to pluck that high string with the middle finger, yeah. And what you're doing here is, the reason you're using hybrid picking is so you can pluck these two strings at the same time. So I kind of do that. Then I'm going to play 7/9 in the G string with the first and third finger. But as I do that, I play the high E string as well. Okay, so you get that little kind of double stop sound to it. And when you play that 9th fret G string, give it a lot of vibrato. That's one of the main reasons it kind of distinguishes from playing it down this area of the neck. If you were playing, you can play those same notes there, but if I have to give a lot of vibrato to that, it kills the high E string. It's really hard to get the vibrato wide and then have the E string kind of ring out. So this is another reason why I think it's definitely played up here. Plus, when you look at playing it live, it plays it up here. So, yeah. Then from here, I'm going to move down and I'm going to do a pull off 7 to 6 and play 7 twice. But when I do the pull off, I pluck the high E string as well. I don't pluck the high E string when I hit the 7th fret here, but I do it at the end, so it kind of goes, yeah, and that little pattern goes down to our 6th and 4th fret area. Again, I'm going to do a pull off 6 to 4 and play 6 twice. But what I do here is I pluck the high E string when I do the pull off, and then I pluck the high E string when I hit the 6 twice as well. So you can see this is kind of a maybe improvised. It's not like a set pattern he's following. He's just kind of plucking where the finger wants to pluck, basically. Okay, so that whole phrase goes. You end it up with this. So you're already in the G string here. Slide up to the 14th fret. A little bit of a bend on it because it's so fast though, you hardly hear it. And then what I'm going to do is classic little lick, bend up, 14th fret, first finger bar is the 12, the B and E string, and then I go to 15th fret of that B string there with a big bend. Yeah, little flourish. Okay, next phrase sounds like this. So similar but different, this bit here. We're still playing the same kind of notes, but the open string kind of nature of this. The first little phrase is this. So what you're doing here is you're pulling off 9 to 7. Then instead of going back to 9 twice, you then play 7/9. But you do a hybrid pick with the open string when you do the pull off. Then at the end, when you do the 9th fret again, so you don't do it here, you do 7th fret, and then when you do 9th fret again, hybrid pick. So it kind of goes. Lots of vibrato again. Then you go down 2 frets and you play this phrase as you did the first time. So I'm going to do a pull off, pick. So the hybrid picks on the pull off, and at the end, yeah, lots of vibrato. And then the last little phrase is this. So it kind of mirrors this bit. So I'm doing pull off, then I'm doing 4/6. But the hybrid picks are on the first and the last kind of 16th in that beat. So it's on the first pull off. And you kind of slide off there. And we end it all off basically with this another little double stop way up at the 12th fret area. 14th fret at the G, and then 15th at the B string. Now I like to use my 2nd and 3rd fingers for this, but you might want to use 3rd and 4th, whatever. But basically I'm going to do a double stop bend, so I hit those 2 strings, and then bend up a whole step with the middle finger. Release it, bend up again, so I'm only hitting the string once here, like that, rhythmically, and then I hit it again, and kind of slide off, so it kind of goes. There might even be a high note in there, but you know, it's basically like the end of the solo. So that's it. Classic solo. Angus Young, you know, is an icon in the guitar. Things to note from this, use of kind of your major 6, which is a cool sound, I love it. Double stop bends, lots of them in this solo, and they're always great for that rock, almost country vibe to it as well. And this little phrase, it's a phrase that I wouldn't actually play because of my weird picking, but it's a cool little phrase to, rather than going, you know, just kind of going back up, adds a next little dimension to it. So try that little phrase on its own and see if you can use it in your own playing. If you're interested in getting the Helix patch for this and the Guitar Profile and stuff, head over to the Patreon and check out the kind of Patreon feed for that. Obviously there's a link below for the tab too. But I also have an additional page that's got a breakdown of all the little kind of phrases with some theory behind them, and speed control and that, as well as a backing track for you to practice. And I've also got a sound slice page as well for Patreons. That allows you to select bits of the tab and it'll sync up with the playthrough video I've got, so it'll help you kind of learn these phrases. So if you're interested in that, as I said, go and check out the Patreon page. So thanks for watching, thanks for staying with us all this time. As usual, if you're not subscribed, you want to see more, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the notification bell as well, it'll help. You can check out Master the Guitar on Instagram. There's lots of little things going up there, such as some of the sound slice pages I've been playing about recently. And you can check out Master the Guitar on Facebook and Twitter as well. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll hopefully see you soon.